my name's Erin.
Hi, I'm Anna.
And I'm Grace.
And today we're going to talk about how to lift people from a wheelchair to another chair in a safe way.
Using a two-person lift, top-bottom approach.
Yes. So what you're going to see in the next video is how to do a correct lift. We'll talk a little bit about what to keep in mind, but it's really important to keep in mind a few things like appropriate attire, which we'll talk about, like no high heels, no like dangly jewelry. As well as like keeping the brakes on the wheelchair is super important. And then after that, we'll show you some common mistakes and how to avoid those. Today we are going to be lifting Anna from a wheelchair to another chair. The first thing you have to make sure you do is make sure you're wearing appropriate attire. That includes no high heels or flip-flops. Instead you want shoes on, and you don't want any dangling jewelry like Grace and I are wearing.
Now that we have taken off our jewelry, made sure we're wearing appropriate clothing and tennis shoes, we are going to talk to Anna and make sure she's ready to be lifted. Anna, are you ready to be lifted today?
Yes.
The next step is putting the brakes on the wheelchair. Next, we're going to move the footrest out of the way so that she can be lifted. And finally, we're going to unbuckle the seatbelt so she can be ready to be lifted.
Okay, so we're going to do a top-bottom lift. So first, for the top part, it's really important that you make sure that you're keeping the student close to you the whole time, as well as you're holding their arms down. In case they swing their arms, they won't hit you.
And the second person is going to be lifting from underneath their legs, just like this. Okay, so now we're ready to lift. Anna, please nod if you're ready for us to lift.
Okay, me too.
Okay, so we want to make sure that we're bending our knees and have a nice straight back to ensure that we're not hurting our back in the process of this lift. And we're going to go on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Okay. And that was a successful lift.
Okay, so today we're going to be doing another example of the top-bottom lift. So first, the important thing is to make sure that we're wearing proper attire, including shoes, which we're both wearing tennis shoes, so we're good there, and comfortable clothes that we can move in. And also, we've removed any dangly jewelry to ensure we're being safe in this process. The next thing we want to make sure we do
Is communicate with the student or the person that we are lifting. So, Erin, today we're just going to be lifting you from the wheelchair to a different chair, and we'll just keep letting you know what we're doing as we're doing it.
Next up, we're going to start preparing for the actual lift. So the first thing we want to do is turn the brakes on. Okay, and then next we're going to move the footrest to the side to ensure that they don't get in the way when we're doing the lift. And finally, we're going to remove the lap belt.
And I'm just going to remove this lap belt.
And also just a comment, we want to make sure that this chair is at an angle that makes it easier for when we're doing the lift to move the person to the chair. So this is at a 45-degree angle, which will just make it easier on us.
Okay, Erin, on the count of 3, we're going to lift you. First, Grace is going to get her hands in position now.
Okay, so the important thing to note for the hand positioning for this one, my hands are going to go underneath like this, and then wrap around close to her wrist and hold close to her body.
Okay, Erin, so on 3, we're going to lift you. Nod if that's okay.
And we also want to make sure that we have our knees bent and our back straight, so we don't have any back injuries in this process.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. We also want to make sure that Erin is fully back on the chair and that her back reaches the back of the chair so that her back is straight and she is comfortable in her position.
In this next video, you'll see an example of an unsuccessful lift. So as you're watching, try to notice the things that went wrong and why we were not able to correctly lift Anna from the wheelchair and transfer her to the chair. After the video is complete, we will go over some of the things that went wrong, take you step by step, and go into some of the details on why it was unsuccessful.
And then we'll also talk a little bit more about common mistakes and how to avoid those in detail.
So on once again, are you ready to be lifted? Okay, we're going to lift on 1, 2, 3. 3. 1, 2, 3.
This video, you might have seen some things that went wrong in an unsuccessful lift, so we just want to introduce some of those ideas so that you can avoid them whenever you are lifting students.
So one of the things that went wrong was they did not lift high enough. So this particular wheelchair, the sides didn't go down, the armrest didn't go off or come down. So you had to lift higher up over the railing, and I think they just didn't account for that. So if you saw that I kind of took the wheelchair down with me into the chair, it was a safe lift. I was not hurt, no one was hurt, but it wasn't like good protocol per se.
Very good.
Yeah, and then some other important things to remember that could go wrong. Right now we're wearing our jewelry. We took those off when we were doing the correct lift, but if we were to leave those on, that could be a hazard, a safety concern. Also, we just want to reemphasize we were wearing the correct footwear, so we were wearing tennis shoes that were supportive for lifting and clothes that we could move in properly and wouldn't be limited by that or putting the student or ourselves at risk for the lift.
Mm-hmm. And while we were practicing and filming, we noticed that a common mistake for us was remembering to check in with the student. Obviously, we care about the student and we want the best safety for them, but sometimes it can be easy to just kind of keep moving along with this other steps and just skipping over, counting down from 3, checking with the student, are you okay? Can we proceed? That kind of thing is really important to keep in mind.
And then finally, we want to restate the importance of getting the proper positioning like we learned in class. So we want to make sure we bend our knees, our backs are nice and straight, so this will prevent us from injuring our backs, and then just throughout our career in life, making sure we don't have any long-term back injuries.
Lift is good when the person that you are lifting and transferring is more than 35% of your weight. So in this case, we had to use 2 people to lift each other, and it was good because we were able to lift the person together, and that took a lot of strain off of our backs and made it safer for the person being transferred.
A good rule of thumb is that if you think that it might be too heavy, or if you even feel a little bit uncomfortable with it, just ask another person to help you. It's just a great way to ensure that you're being safe and you're also protecting the safety of your student.
Yeah, and if you follow everything we talked about today, you and your students should be good and safe and be able to continue learning. Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.